If anything ever happened, they'd be the first to go. They don't understand that. They'd be the first to go. They'd be the first ones hit.
Or do you think there's a national threat of a left-wing militia that is targeting ICE and CBP?
Well, I think you have some very stupid people in the left who have some money that are making it available to these people, because you look at the guns they had, they were brand new. You look at even the clothing they were wearing, it looked like it just came out of some military shop. So you have some very stupid people that, if anything ever happened, they'd be the first to go. They don't understand that. They'd be the first to go. They'd be the first ones hit.
Issue of the Iraqi civilians. I think that as many of them should survive as possible, because the goal of any military conflict is to kill as few people as possible. But as for Saddam Hussein and his henchmen, I think the ideal solution would be to cut off their fingers. I don't think it's necessary to kill them entirely. We're not a barbaric people. We respect life. Therefore, torture is the way to go, because tortured people can live. Torture is a celebration of life and human dignity. We need to remember that.
If anything ever happened, they'd be the first to go. They don't understand that. They'd be the first to go. They'd be the first ones hit. It's all been a big hoax. It's perpetrated by the Democrats, and some stupid Republicans and foolish Republicans fall into the net. They're wasting their time with a guy who obviously has some very serious problems, who died 3-4 years ago. I'd rather talk about the success we have with the economy, the best we've ever had. The sad part is it's people that are really doing the Democrats' work. They're stupid people.
You mentioned past supporters when you were talking about the Epstein issue. Does that mean that you're effectively disowning any supporters who are now calling...
I lost a lot of faith in certain people, yeah. I lost, because they got duped by the Democrats. The Democrats are good...
Hello, good people. It's Rob Lee. Here we are going into late July 2025. Donald Trump spent 1 year telling his base, his cult, that he would release what's called the Epstein files. It was a part of his big lie, and that's all he does is lie. His ignorant followers believed it. Now Daddy is telling them to shut up because he's in those files, and you're stupid and weak if you believe it. Trump recently said in a Truth Social post, which is his own media platform, that his supporters are stupid, weak, and foolish if they care about the Epstein case, and he did not want their support. Remember his words. If anything happens, they'll be the first to go. His own words. They'll be the first to be hit. This is not just left or liberal. No, it's all people who are anti-Trump, and what's behind him. Israel. This is the synagogue of Satan. False Israel. Now, he told you they'll be the first to be hit. He wasn't referring to illegals. Nope, white folks. For years, when I first joined YouTube, there was countless videos about concentration camps, work camps, FEMA camps, Walmarts were going to be used as concentration camps. Man, I seen it all. It was all BS. So when it actually stares white people in the face, they're clueless. They're absolutely clueless, except for the few that the Almighty Father has not only called but chosen. In 2024, Donald Trump said to MAGA many times on the campaign trail, "We'll have it down so good, you won't have to vote again." Now, we'll cover that more in our next video called Evil, Desperate, and Ill. For Donald Trump is an ill man. Not spiritually, but also he's very ill spiritually because he doesn't have a spirit of God, but he's an ill man in his body. And he's desperate. Trump and the evil behind him will not allow any more selection shows. The goal will be a complete takeover. Complete. Now, there will be wars with other nations. And there will be a war in this nation amongst the people. People versus governments, police, the military, ICE. You will see all chaos. It will be. Trump is a wild animal, an evil creature that does not want the people to see him for what he truly is. However, the mask is coming off because he's afraid of the people seeing him for what he truly is. In the clip I played for you, what you're seeing and hearing is the future. When Donald Trump and those behind him will use the military and the police and his own personal army called ICE against the American people. And it does not matter if you're brown, black, or blue, or red. White will be the priority. Trust me, the priority. And the number one enemy, the name that will be hated above all, will be Jesus. Trump's secret police of masked men walking around with automatic weapons, with assault rifles, wearing masks, are using the same tactics as the IDF has used on the Palestinians for decades. When in America did law enforcement officers cover their entire face? This means that you could get a group of men out now and they could just start pulling people off the streets, taking women off the streets, pretending to be ICE agents. What you're seeing is America become lawless, out of control. In fact, most law enforcement in the United States has some training by the IDF. In fact, in New York, all law enforcement goes to Tel Aviv to get their training. It's been going on for a long time. New York, Philadelphia, Baltimore, LA, they go to Tel Aviv to be trained by the devil's children. ICE, the private army of Trump, just got $150 billion from the latest theft of the people to ratchet up enforcement of raids, arresting and detaining anyone supposedly they suspect of violating immigration laws. Barack Obama, being the devil that he is, he deported in his time in office 5 million illegals. Trump will never come close to that because the goal is not to get rid of illegals. That's just a ruse, you see. That's the cover story. Only naive and stupid believe this is about illegals. It's practice for what's to come. Practice. Like when I take my weapon and I practice. I'm practicing now. Target practice. In case you ever have to use it, this is practice for what they know is going to come. This is about the synagogue of Satan and their hatred of Jesus, the Jesus people, and they despise all white people. I'm not going to get into it. It's very biblical, but it's true. Remember what Trump said in the clip we played, speaking of the first people to go and be hit. This is said as makeshift prisons are being built around the U.S. This is right out of the playbook of the Jewish synagogue of Satan, as in Hitler, Stalin, Mao, and other tyrants. In Germany, Russia, and China, who was the biggest enemy? The people that dissented. You know, Hitler, as it's often said about Hitler, that he was anti-Jew, that he put Jews in a whole lot of concentration camps. Do you know who was mostly in the camps in Germany? Other Germans. The people that dissented. The same thing in Russia, in China. The people that dissented. The people that spoke out. You know, they say Hitler was anti-Jew, but yet his bodyguard, his doctor, his limo driver, and some of his best friends were Jewish. If I told you I was anti-black, my doctor, my housekeeper, my this and that, my limo driver was black, surely you would say, wait a minute, I think you're lying. Because it's always about the people that dissent. There's always a cover story. Who has the most to lose right now? And who has been turned on like never before in the last 2 years, especially the last 17 to 18 months? The state of Israel, aka the synagogue of Satan. Who controls Trump? The synagogue of Satan. The architect of this is a devil named Stephen Miller. Now, I played you a clip of him when he was 17 years old. And you can see how incredibly evil and twisted he is, talking about torture, and he's trying to make light of it, but that's who he truly is. You see, most of the devil's children conceal their real names. His real name is not Miller. However, those days are gone and the masks are off. It doesn't matter anymore because I'm telling you, the masks have been removed. The enemy doesn't care anymore. Jehovah Father in his great wisdom has allowed some of us to identify many of the devil's children by, one, their appearance, but also their words. You'll know them by their fruits. Now this being Stephen Miller, he pretends to be pro-white. He's part of the Fox News, the right wing, the MAGA crowd. It's a lie. He's a synagogue of Satan agent who serves the devil and the devil's children. He hates Jesus, his family, and white people. No other president has ever spoken like Trump. Sure, behind closed doors, it's hard to tell the gross and vile things that have been said, but never openly. You would never have seen Bush or Reagan or even Obama say openly, yeah, we're going to come out and just start killing people. It wouldn't have happened because it would have caused a frenzy. You see, but when it's done by the so-called right, well, a lot of white people will clap because they think, well, we're getting rid of the brown people. They're so blind, so delusional because they have denied Jesus Christ, they can't see the truth. As I said, the masks are off. Trump is dangerous. He has lived a life of evil and he's never been wrong. You see, in 80 years, this man has never said, I've done wrong. This is why he admitted when he ran for president in 2015 that he's never asked God for forgiveness because he's not of our Father. He's not of Jesus. He's a liar and a con man. He deems all people that criticize him as his enemy, and he's willing to go after his enemies. The state of Israel and the synagogue of Satan is even worse. Even worse. Why do you think all this Epstein stuff just came out right as Netanyahu met with Trump? You think maybe there was a little bit of blackmail going on? Maybe something was told to Trump when Netanyahu visited him just 2 weeks ago? Because they want their war. We'll talk about that, like I said, in the next video. In fact, we're going to go into it deep. In the last 18 months, a large part of this earth has seen the crimes committed by the state of Israel against the Palestinians. The bombing of schools, hospitals, homes, the killing of children, women, reporters, doctors, nurses, it doesn't matter. Even just the other day, they bombed a Catholic church. Now, I'm not Catholic, that's for sure, but they bombed a Catholic church and people just said, quiet, shh, don't say nothing. Nations and billions of people have turned against Israel and they know it. In the summer of 2024, hundreds of thousands of college students from the East Coast to the West Coast and even in Europe protested the crimes against Gaza. The internet was filled with anti-Israel sentiment, and it hasn't stopped. People began speaking out and seeing Israel as an enemy of the U.S. Most of the people in the U.S. under 30 do not see Israel as anything but a parasite that uses the United States while Americans go without. The only people left supporting Israel are the evangelical Fox News crowd, and most of these people are middle-aged and even older. This has made Israel increasingly more dangerous, coupled with the beating that Iran gave them in the 12-day war, because most folks don't understand, Iran, if Iran and Israel were two men fighting, Iran beat the hell out of Israel. Now, Israel may have gotten the first couple of licks, but after that, it was all downhill for them. The synagogue of Satan and its merchants, Mystery Babylon, and the Bible says that Mystery Babylon is Jerusalem. I know a lot of people believe it's America, but what does Jesus tell us? The merchants of Babylon, the media, corporations control the entire flow of the information in the United States and Western nations. In Europe, people were and are afraid to mention the Jewish synagogue of Satan for fear of retribution. But this is changing because Father is moving it to change. Even now, in many countries, it still exists. However, as I said, something has happened. People are starting to speak out against Israel. And this has caused Israel and its agents to work triple time, and they've still not been able to silence the resistance against them. People are starting to see them in a different light. I tell you this because the evil behind and beside Trump are the children of the synagogue of Satan, and they're going to try and suppress all criticism of them, and they'll be willing to go to lengths that has never been seen before in this nation. Trump recently put federal troops in LA when there was no reason to do so. No reason. The protests there were not out of control riots, not even close. I seen the video footage. It was not even close to being riots. His administration even had federal troops training in LA in parks just to intimidate the citizens. This is Trump's vendetta against California because almost all of California is anti-Trump. Now, I have no love for California liberals, and I loathe the Hollywood culture. I have no love for gangbangers and criminals, whether they be from the U.S. or any other country. However, what you're seeing is practice that will be used against all Americans. And we told you, and we tell you again, it's here. But there's no need for you to be fearful. You, the few hundred people here, you're the lover and the follower of Jesus. You don't have to be fearful. Your Father is going to use this evil man and those behind him to break this nation and this earth, and you're going to see chaos. You're going to see tribulation. You're going to see pain and suffering on a scale that's never been seen. And then you will see the return of Jesus. But before this happens, things have to get much worse. The evil that I'm telling you about fears and hates the truth. If you tell the truth, they're going to call you names. They're going to tell you how bad you are because you're not serving their lies. 2,000 years ago, the Jews told Jesus he had a devil. They told him this not once but twice. Yes, twice. It would be the equivalent of them calling you today anti-Semitic, you're racist, you're phobia, you're this, you're terrorist, that, you're this, you're that. It doesn't matter. Jesus said, if they hate me, they're going to hate you. Be honored and grateful they hate you. You wouldn't belong to Jesus if they loved you. I assure you, you would not belong to Jesus if they loved you. Let's read something. John chapter 10, verses 19 and 20. There was a division, therefore, again among the Jews for these sayings. And many of them said, he hath a devil and is mad. Why hear ye him? They just said, here's the Son of God, who sits at the right hand of God, who has all power. He's condemning these people because he's telling them what? The truth. Jesus Christ is telling them the truth. I know who you really are. I know what you really are. You're done. You're on borrowed time. What did they tell the Son of God, mind you? He has a devil. John 8, chapter 47 and 49. Jesus speaking to the Jews again. The words of Jesus. He that is of God heareth God's words. Ye therefore hear them not, because ye are not of God. Then answered the Jews and said unto him, say we not well, thou art a Samaritan, and hast a devil? Calling him a devil. He has a devil again. Jesus answered, I have not a devil, but I honor my Father, and ye do dishonor me. So there they are calling the Son of God. The most important thing to the Father Jehovah is Jesus. And here they are, the devil's children calling Jesus, you're the devil. You see how they do it. You see everything they are, they will accuse you of. The phrase end times, end days, last days are common. Just like I told you about concentration camps, work camps, FEMA camps. And when it stares people right in the face, they can't see it. But when it's not there, they love to write about it, talk about it, be about it. They love to run to the woods. They love to play in the woods with guns and food and all kinds of stuff. But when it's really about ready to happen, they just can't see it. Because you got to have that spirit. Many people made a lot of money writing books, preaching, making videos, false sermons, goods that spew lie after lie about the last days and how it's going to go down. The reason being, if you don't have a spirit of the Father, you ain't going to know what's happening. Liars lie, and liars are not from our Father. Before I close, I share this with you. Fear not, good people. Your father, contrary to popular belief, is running things. And contrary to popular belief, Jesus sits at the right hand of the Father and has all power. There's never been a moment, not a second in your life that your Father and Jesus did not know exactly where you were and what you were doing and what you needed. You've never been without. You've never been without them, not a second in your life. And when it gets worse, they'll be right there with us. I want you to think on these words from Jesus in Matthew 24:22. And except those days should be shortened, there should be no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, your sake, children, brothers and sisters, yours, ours. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. So your Father will cut these times short. For who? For us. For us. Yes, we truly are living in the last days. Brothers and sisters, your Father is incredibly kind, merciful, loving, and generous to those who seek Him with a true heart. Jesus is the best friend that you've ever had. When everybody else walks away from you, Jesus won't leave you. If you had to walk up in the woods or go in your room or curl up and it's just you and the Bible and Jesus for the rest of your life, count it as glory because you have Jesus. We must keep our eyes on Him and our ears on His truth. Your Father is invisible to the eye because your Father is a spirit. You're a spirit. It's only with the Spirit that you can feel and you understand your Father. Romans 8:14, for He and Jesus live inside of us. They dwell in us. See John 14:20 through 23. And when we love our Father, pray and believe your Father will love and help you always. And you're going to need help. We all are. Your Father said He would do it, and your Father will never lie, nor has He ever lied. The madness and evil that we are seeing is the means to the end, and it's step by step up the ladder until we reach the end of it. And you will see the return of Jesus Christ, but it will get much worse. But don't be fearful. It's Jesus that has all power. And you see people like Donald Trump, bankers, the synagogue of Satan, they really want people to believe they have the power. They have the little bit of power they have because the Father, our Father, has allowed them to have it. Because it's all part of your Father's perfect plan. The Almighty Father gave all power to His Son, Jesus. Nobody loves you like your Father and Jesus. Nobody will take care of you like your Father and Jesus. Thank you for being here with me today. May the Father bless each and every one of you in this small group of people. And may the Father, may you bless them all. May you touch all of them who listen to the very end especially. May you touch them, Father, in the name of Jesus, and may you bless them. In Jesus' mighty and wonderful name, amen.